Good afternoon for our new passengers here at Waterloo Pier, the London Eye. As you can see, we're just away from the pier now. Journey time downstream, give the other boat away. They're on the wrong boat, that's how you go back there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we come away from the pier, I'd like to inform you all on the boat safety equipment. The boat is fully equipped with modern life-saving equipment. There's life jackets, life rafts, life rings, stored around the boat, and they're clearly marked in these green and cream international stickers. Okay. If you need to use the toilet, they're downstairs at the back. And for the benefit of people that have just got on, the hot water on this boat today is running extremely hot for some reason. So for ladies in the toilets, if you go and wash your hands in there, just be very aware of that. So probably best to just use the cold tap. We've had a lady burn her hand, okay? So please bear that in mind if you're using the toilets, girls. Downstairs we have an open top deck. Most of you are seated up here. It's a lovely, lovely sunny day here in London, which makes a change. Now, I've been standing down at the gate and I've spoke to quite a few of you getting on the boat. Quite a few people have asked me if there's going to be a commentary on board this boat today. Well, unfortunately, there's no guides or professional commentators employed on the boat by the company. I'm just going to come to that. Thank you, sir. Very good. And ladies and gentlemen, as the gentleman just said it, I'm more than happy. I can stand here and talk to you if you want. Just pass on a bit of local knowledge. Inform you about some of the things as we go along. But as I say, I'm not a guide, so please don't get annoyed with me or get on with me for any reason. I'll try my best. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All those in favour, raise your hand at the commentary. Excellent. And quite important as well, put your hand up if you can understand me, because that's quite important. I don't know what I'm talking to. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start behind the boat first of all. I know the sun's pretty bright there, but look over your left shoulder and there's the Palace of Westminster. That is the seat of the British government. At the far end of that building, you've got a square tower flying a flag. That is the Victoria Tower, named after Queen Victoria when she opened that building in 1852. At this end of the building, you've got the famous clock tower, and that is known throughout the world as Big Ben. Big Ben is a nickname of the bell inside the tower which chimes on the hour. The real name for the clock is the Great Clock of Westminster. So it's the bell inside the tower, Big Ben. So if anybody asks you the question, did you see Big Ben? The answer is no, you are listening. And that is because you can hear it, you cannot see it, so don't be tricked into that. Lovely building, the Palace of Westminster. Very nice of an evening when they light it up, especially with a nice view of the Abbey. You can't really see it too well at the moment, but behind the clock there is Westminster Abbey. Just ahead of us on the left, we've got the building with the green roof sections, the Ministry of Defence, head office of the Army, Navy and Air Force. Outside of the building is a white column with a golden eagle perched on top, and that is our Royal Air Force War Memorial. It commemorates the men and the women who lost their lives during the First and the Second World War. The beak of that eagle points south to the beaches of France, where so many brave young men and women sadly fell. So the Ministry of Defence, the Royal Air Force War Memorial. On the right hand side here we have the London Eye, and the wheel stands 450 feet high. 32 different carriages, they carry 25 people. You'll get on and you'll get off as it continuously rotates. It goes round at a breakneck speed of 1 mile an hour. Once you arrive at the very top on a clear day like today, you're going to see at least 30 miles across London. It's carried more than 50 million people since they opened it. So it is very popular. And as you can see for yourself, every pod is nearly full up. Now, I mean, we go past this every day and we were very curious to sort of what it earns, really, to be quite honest with you. So we've done a few sums. Now, there's 25 people in each pod, 800 people on the wheel, paying £18.50 each. That generates £11,000 every time it goes round once. And it goes round for 12 hours of the day. Therefore, on a busy day, this wheel will make £250,000 in one day. And that is why they're seriously considering changing the name of the London Eye to the Wheel of Fortune. A not appropriate. There's the bell. We just heard, that was Big Ben, there it is. It's a big bell, there we are. There are 9 smaller bells, so they are the Westminster chime, the quarter bells. On our left, the Gothic style building, Whitehall Court Mansion. That is home to the 5-star Royal Horse Guards Hotel. A floating pub, the Tattershall Castle, used to be a ferry boat on the River Humber in Hull. Say a very popular floating pub. When the sun shines, he's seen the pub. There we go. He's only young. He's spotted that already. Good boy. You taught him well, sir. Very good. So there we go. And there's the Hispaniola. That is a restaurant. Now the first bridge that we pass underneath, this is the Charing Cross Railway Bridge. There's a modern building on the left with curved roofs. That is called Embankment Place, designed by Terry Farrell to represent a train emerging from a railway tunnel. Look at that building very closely and I'm sure you can all see that it does look nothing like a train coming from anywhere. I think the best description is a jukebox, you know, the old Wurlitzer. Wave to the people on bridges, okay? Keep them happy, keeps their hands busy, and it stops them throwing things. They're nice people, give them away. But not everybody is so nice. We've had a few problems over the years. We've had water bombs, one day a few water bombs, another day we had some eggs thrown at us. And we all travel under the things in their pocket. And also a strawberry milkshake, big something like that. Someone got a taste of it. On the right hand, give them a wave up there folks, that's it. Yeah, always wave to the kids on the bridge, that's it. Now on the right hand side we've got the Royal Festival Hall. It was built for the Festival of Great Britain in 1951. And that building is soundproof from the noisy railway. Frank Sinatra, Pavarotti, Shirley Bassey, they've all performed live in the building here, the Royal Festival Hall. Across the river we have a stone column on the river's wall. That is Cleopatra's Needle. The needle was given to this country in many thanks over the defeat of the French fleet on the Battle of the River Nile. And that needle is said to be 3,500 years old. The twin needle is in Central Park in New York City. Then we got a building, it's got a green roof and a flag. That is the London Savoy Hotel. It's a very nice hotel. It's a very expensive hotel. If you're lucky enough to stay there in a riverside room, that would have set you back £1,000 a night bed of rent. Waterloo is the bridge, better known on the river as the Ladies' Bridge. Built in the Second World War, 80% of the labour on this bridge were young women. Most of the men, they was at war, fighting for king and country. The girls at home, they done the construction. This bridge was one. And I'm sure we can all agree, gentlemen, the ladies of London made an excellent job of Waterloo. Well done, the girls, that's it. If you look back at the bridge, gentlemen, you can actually tell it was built by women. Have a look at the arches on the bridge there. And what lovely curves they've got. What a lovely set of arches, gentlemen. It's all compliments, ladies. Don't take it. On the left-hand side, look at that lovely building with a dome on top over there. That is Somerset House. It was built and completed in 1770. And that building has been used to store birth, death and marriage certificates, taken over by the Inland Revenue, our very good friend the taxman. And that's why we're all the way over here, as far away as possible from him. On our left and ahead of us we have a little yacht, just over on the left there, the St Catherine. Now the St Catherine, the royal barge, members of the royal family travelled on the river. They used to travel on this little yacht, St Catherine. It may please you to know that we've actually carried the Queen, her husband and Prince Charles on this very boat you're on today. They have all been aboard the Millennium of Peace, and she said she likes the crew on this one when I spoke to her. She's a very nice lady. She came on the boat just a few years ago. Ahead of us on the left hand side we have the Wellington, the ship with the yellow funnel. This ship used to be part of the New Zealand Navy. Today it's a floating livery hall that is a drinking club for retired sea captains. Along the river's wall on the left you can see the Lion's Heads. Now the Lion's Heads are a good indication to a high spring tide. You see there's a tide gauge on the river's wall there, rise of about 5.5, 5.8 metres at the moment. The tide does sometimes go up to 8 metres. Generally, if you see the lions on the river wall drinking, then that is a good tide, a good high water. They do say if the lions are drinking, then London is sinking. Ahead of us on the right, we've got a red brick building. It's got a glass canopy and a tower. That is Stanford Wharf, and that building over there used to be a cold storage meat warehouse. Converted into luxury flats. The glass canopy where the people are is the Oxo Tower Restaurants. That is considered to be one of the top 10 restaurants in London. Look above the restaurant and we have the Oxo Tower, and that's where they used to make the famous gravy Oxo in the building there. Personally, I prefer Bisto. I think Oxo's a bit overrated. I think many people do. You like Bisto, sir? Over on the left, look at that lovely view of St Paul's. That's a great photograph opportunity there with the camera folks. On our left, the red brick building that looks like a church. Zion College and Library. That is a school and a study for the clergy here in London. Next door, a building has got a green sloping roof. The old City of London School. Many of our past members of Parliament, they went to this school before going on to Oxford or Cambridge. Right at the very end, a semicircular building is the Unilever House. That is the office of Unilever. They're a soap and detergent manufacturer. Ahead of the boat, Blackfriars Road Bridge. Now before the bridge on the right, there's a pub. The pub is very nice, but the name of the pub is of interest. It's the Doggett's Coat and Badge. I don't know if anybody's heard of this Doggett's Coat and Badge. It's the oldest annual sporting event in the world, and it is rowed on this river every year in June. The race is rowed from London Bridge in front of us, a few bridges down, 4.5 miles behind us to Putney. Now if you win the Doggett's Coat and Badge, you become a Queen's waterman. So at the moment I am just an average waterman. I did row the race, but I didn't win it. But a few of my friends that have won the race will row the Queen on a Diamond Jubilee downstream in the Royal Barge. So a great honour for them people who are to row on a Diamond Jubilee. As I say, I did race should have trained a bit. This is a railway, see all the work going on here. Massive amount of work to be completed here in time for the Olympic Games. So this work should be completed by then. But to be honest with you, it's not looking too good. We're about halfway to the tower, we're all getting on. Everyone having a nice day? Enjoying the trip so far, yeah? Excellent. Am I doing alright? Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Now we go to the left, there we have the dome, the Golden Cross of St Paul's Cathedral. That is the masterpiece of Sir Christopher Wren. It took 35 years to build, completed in 1710. Above the dome there's a viewing area. From there you will obtain an excellent view of London. Down in the crypt you'll find the tombs of Admiral Lord Nelson, the Duke of Wellington, the architect himself, Sir Christopher Wren. In my opinion, this is one of the finest buildings anywhere in the country. And ladies and gentlemen, if you get the chance one day, go and have a little walk around that building. It is a beautiful place. The bridge in front of us is the Millennium Bridge, or better known on the river as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. Opened up on a Saturday morning by the Queen. It was closed the same afternoon by the police for being unsafe. Thousands of people walked over the bridge and it started to move. It was swinging about a foot in either direction. So they who's this? Oh, look at these kids. Here, mate, look at them. Oh, excellent. There we go, children. Some sort of fundraising event. That's excellent to see. Lucky you only on the naked bike ride though. That wasn't so good. There we go, kids. Can you see all the people up there? Look at that. Exactly. Crashing. No, that's further on, sir. I'll tell you about that in a moment, sir. We go through the bridge. We go to the right. We've got a round building. It's got the thatch on the roof. That is the replica of Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, the Globe Theatre of William Shakespeare. Now, this is the only building in London to be allowed a thatched roof since the Great Fire of London. During the summertime, from May to the end of September, go inside and watch a famous Shakespearean play being performed. In the traditional way, there's no microphones or stage lighting. It's all done as it would have been done years ago. Next door is the International Shakespeare Centre. That is a very nice restaurant and exhibition. So if you like Shakespeare, that's somewhere that I would recommend a visit. Now we're just going a little bit slow at the moment. We've got a boat in front of us. He's a bit of a poodler. He doesn't go very fast, this one. He's in no particular rush at any time, so he's a bit slow. But we can't use the arch on the left because the tide is flooding, and the boats coming up with the flood tide have right of way. So the working arches are 2 and 3, the ones on your left hand side. We must stay to the south side using these arches that we're going through now. Now, just before the bridge, take a look very carefully over here, and there's some stairs that lead down into the River Thames here. Now, these stairs are Southwark Causeway. Years and years ago, before we had bridges on the River Thames, you was ferried across the river via these staircases. So you would have gone down to the stairs, and a waterman would have rowed you across. It's protected by a royal charter. You can see they've actually built the bridge on top of it. They couldn't build and knock them down. As I say, there were lots of watermen rowing people across the river years ago. Today, there's over 100 bridges crossing the River Thames. As we go through the bridge, are you enjoying this, mate? He's about the same age as mine. Away to the right hand side there, look at this pub. This is called the Anchor Tavern at Bankside. Now this pub over here, it dates back more than 300 years. It was mentioned in the diary of Dr. Johnson and Samuel Pepys. You can see a few people sitting out on the terrace there, a nice beer, sitting in the sun. There we are, very nice, the Anchor. Now lots of people get on this boat and they ask me about the Borough Market. If you follow that street up behind the pub, follow the bridge inland, and just up the back there is the Borough Market, and that's somewhere that I would recommend a little stroll over, a traditional London market. The tide is still rising, as we said earlier. If you look at the supports, you get a rough indication to how fast it flows. So this is a very powerful, dangerous tide. And believe me, I'm speaking from experience, you do not want to go in this river. It's not very nice. I've been in here a few times, and say it's a bit frightening. It's very fast flowing water. Very fast, you can see that. It's a brackish water, so it's a mix of sea and fresh water. Ahead of us on the right, for our children, for the boys and the girls, over on the right, a real pirate ship. Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind. Now, Sir Francis Drake sailed a ship like this one around the world. It took him 3 years with a crew of 80 men. The ship you can see there, it's not a model, that is a real ship. Tracing the voyage of Drake, it's now open as a museum. So that is the Golden Hind. And to imagine sailing around the world on a small ship like that, it must have been a very cramped and tired ship. Just quickly before we mention the bridge, look behind this boat in the gap there, you've got the lovely Southwark Cathedral, and that building there dates back to the 14th century. Look at that lovely old building. This is the London Bridge. This is the 5th London Bridge in 2,000 years. The previous London Bridge, as this man said to me a moment ago, is out in America. They had to take the bridge down because it was sinking, and it was sold to Mr. McCulloch for £1 million. That bridge is out in America, the lower Colorado River, Arizona. Have you seen it? Yeah, have you seen the bridge? You have seen it. I'm glad somebody has, because you've looked over it. A lot of people think it's a long story to take a bridge all out, and it is very true. So yeah, sold for £1 million. The largest antique of the whole world. Between the gap and the building we have a church, St Magnus the Martyr. Behind the church is the monument to the Great Fire of London. And you can see it's been built to look like a candle. They thought it was a candle that started the fire in the Royal Bakery in Pudding Lane. And that was back in the year 1666. We've got a blue glass building on the left, of no particular interest, unless you're a window cleaner. That was my best joke. It's terrible. I'll stop. On the right hand side we've got the Shard of Glass. When that is finished, it will be the tallest building in Europe. It will stand at just under 1,100 feet. And there'll be a hotel, there'll be offices, a casino, I'm sure some gentlemen's clubs, and at the very, very top, apartments, which will be very impressive at the top. A very nice old building on the left, Walter Guard House. See the stone building with the flag flying there? Walter Guard's House. That used to be the customs building for the Port of London. That is now offices of the Customs and Excise. This is where illegal contraband is taken to be burnt. I've worked on this river for over 10 years and I've not seen one puff of smoke come out of them shipping boats. Not one puff. Ahead of us on the right hand side we have the battleship, the warship, HMS Belfast. She was built in 1938 in the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast in Northern Ireland. The same shipyard that built the Titanic. This one obviously done a little better. She saw action through the whole of the Second World War, the Korean War. And she's moored in London as a floating museum. Take a look at the thickness of the side of the ship. That's 18 inch thick on the right here. Very, very powerful ship, as they built out in Ireland. She's moored as a museum, but unfortunately it's not open at the moment. And this is due to a little accident that we had on the Belfast before Christmas. Look to the right, where the back deck of the ship here. See the staircase? Well, there's no ramp to lead you across. It actually collapsed. Nobody was on it, don't panic. But as I say, sadly, we can't visit the Belfast at the moment. Now, if I could just give you a little bit of advice, ladies and gentlemen, what we do, we position the boat here so you can take your pictures. And I'd advise really that you take your pictures of the tower first, and then we'll turn the boat side on for the bridge. I think that's probably your best bet. It's up to you, obviously. Away to the left, there's the famous tower. The oldest part of the Tower of London is in the centre, with the four roofs and the flag. That is the Norman Keep, or White Tower, built in the reign of William the Conqueror in 1078. Served London as a royal palace, it's been a prison, a Minton Observatory, most famously known as a place of imprisonment, torture and execution. They didn't have rehabilitation at the Tower of London. What they did have was a big axe, a chopping block and a piece of rope. And if you got out of hand years ago, you had your head chopped off. Now that might sound a little bit gruesome, and don't be alarmed by that, because that is the history of this country. As many famous people went through Traitors' Gate to be imprisoned or executed. One of the most famous and most bravest men to go through that archway, in my opinion, was a man called William Wallace in 1305. I'm sure you've seen the film Braveheart. Or maybe that was just somebody says in your kids. He was taken through the arch. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we're going to turn the boat. Just before we do that, City Hall on the right, the modern sloped building. It's the office of the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson. Back on your left, the tall rocket-shaped building is the Swiss Re Tower, built for Swiss Re in 2003. And as I say, we're going to turn the boat now, a lovely side-on view of the bridge. It was opened in 1894, making the bridge 117. The famous thing about this bridge is its centre roadway. It parts in the middle and it lifts up like a double-sided drawbridge to allow these bigger, taller ships in and out of this part of the Thames. When the Thames was busy, this bridge, believe it or not, opened 30 times every day. So people used to walk up one tower, across the catwalk at the top, to carry on with their daily business. Today, the top half of the bridge is an exhibition. It will cost about £7 to visit Tower Bridge. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you see them guns on the Belfast there? As I said, they can fire a shell 14 miles. Now, to give you some perspective of that, if you look down through the middle of Tower Bridge, on the horizon there's a little brick tower. See it right in the middle of the bridge on the horizon. That is on Shooters Hill Road in South London, where I live. 7 miles away. 7 miles over that horizon, that ship could fire a shell. So that gives you an idea to how powerful it was. I mean, to today's standard, it's not too powerful, but years ago, it's so powerful. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all very much for your very kind attention. You've been very polite. You've sat and listened to me. I haven't had to shout or raise my voice, so I'd like to thank you all for that. I'd also like to ask you to remain seated, because you're going to feel what's happening now. We're catching our waves, okay? So we need to find the seat. If you're not used to this, it will knock you off your feet. You've sort of got to sway with the rock. Now, before you leave the boat, make sure you've got all your personal belongings. Don't forget anyone or anything you might have with you, okay? You'll be surprised what people leave. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I've got enough of my own kids, thanks, okay? So don't bother with me.